Good day and welcome to your favorite sport program on TV plus sport. As usual, today will be an interesting time on the program. So wherever you are, you can join us to be part of this, so that you can have a very fulfilled weekend. And what the world is talking about right now, in the world of sport mostly, is the 2023 World Athletic Championship going on in Budapest. What's interesting about it is that we have a very special guest, a very respectable sports writer, and specialized in athletics and many other sports. Talking about the country manager of Making of Champions, Deji Ogenyigbo, who is in Budapest, the host city of the 2023 World Athletic Championship. It's good to have you, Deji.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, Mudashiru.
Yes, let's talk what happened yesterday. We know that Toby couldn't reiterate a performance he did last year. So tell us how it felt and the atmosphere as regards to Toby and the whole thing regards to before they started the semi-final, because everybody wants to know right from where you are how the atmosphere is like.
Well, I must say it was a very nervous moment for Toby. She raced for 3 consecutive days. On Tuesday, it was the heat, and she needed to break the ice. This was her first time competing in over a month since her provisional suspension was lifted by the tribunal that sat on the case. And she literally had to run through or walk through every media person and talking to them about what it was. And as expected, some were sympathetic to her cause, others were very uncouth, especially most of from the white media, and she obviously neglected them. But I mean, having to come here, majority of what we wanted to know was how mentally and physically ready she was. And I mean, after yesterday, she was able to open up finally, saying that she could have sat on a couch watching it. She didn't need to come here, considering she was not in top shape, both mentally and physically. But the fact that she was able to line up with the best of the best, that is already success for her. So, like I've reiterated in the last 24 hours, we need to look at this thing from a Toby's perspective, the person perspective, not the athlete. All what people see on the track is just 12 seconds of race. What happens in terms of preparation, preparing yourself mentally for such a thing is also key. And having spoken to Toby behind and after the camera or in front of the camera itself, I now begin to understand what these athletes go through. And we also need to look at it from our own perspective. So I'm not worried about it. I know she can do better than this. We know that. She's the world record holder. She was the world champion until Dana Williams beat her to it yesterday. And I mean, she said she would have not been happy to hand over a mantle to her best friend on the circuit, Daniel Williams, who nobody gave any chance to win. She first won the world title in 2015 in Beijing, and now she's doing it again. So for Toby, it's just about patience, really, and we'll just take it from there. And she'll probably build up towards what's happening for the rest of the season and potentially into the Paris Olympics next year.
So now, what's left for the contingent, the Nigerian contingent? We know that we have a day to go, if I'm right. Tell us what's left for us. I think the relay races and all that. Can you just give us an input on that?
So all Team Nigeria's individual participants have competed. So we only have the relays to go. So we've got three relays. The first relay, the mixed 4x4, couldn't make the final. That was on day one. Now the men's 4x1 go later today in about 2 hours from now, and the women's 4x1 heat, as well as the women's 4x4. And I was with the team yesterday in the hotel, and they're all pumped up for it, especially the men's 4x1, I can tell you. At least they want to make the final. Don't forget, they are the bronze medalists from the Commonwealth Games. And it's sad that two of our top athletes in Gotse Brume and Udodi Onwuzurike are not present here. They are the fastest Nigerians this year. But I mean, there's still Sheyi Ogulewa, who got to the semi-finals of the men's 100. There is Ishirise Shakiri, who's the national champion. There is Favor Ashe, who sadly started. He's the fastest of the lot here. And there is Alaba Akintola, who competed in the men's 200 meters. So it's a solid squad. Hopefully, we don't hear of any injuries. I mean, as yesterday, they were fit and ready to go. So let's see how they fare in that regard. In the women's 4x1, Toby will be looking to motivate the girls. There is Favor Philly that joins up with the women's 4x1. There's Rosemary Chukuma, who got to the semi-finals of the women's 4x1. Sorry, of the women's 100 meters. And we would also have Success Umokoro or probably Tiana joining them. Tiana as well as Faith are also part of the contingent here. So it's a very solid squad. The women's 4x4, it is tomorrow. The final is on Sunday. We've got Patience Okon George and say Maobong. We've got Ella Onojovero as well as yeah, and just one other athlete. So it's a situation where we could potentially get to the final of all three. Whether we can medal is the $1 million question. But I mean, I've got a bit of hope in the women's 4x1. Sadly, Grayson Wakocha is not part of them, but it's about getting the exchange right, ensuring that the synergy is there, and it will just be easy peasy. Don't forget, they finished fourth in Eugene last year, the women's 4x1, so they can potentially get a medal if their exchange is very good and they run as good as they have been running this year.
Yeah, well said. I know you need to catch. I don't know whether it's the train or the bus to go to the venue where you are right now. But from day one, how does it seem like in this course in shot put and the rest, we've not gotten a medal at all. What's the motivation like in the whole of the camp and from day one? Ofili missing out in the semi-final, if I'm right, in the 200 meters, and also you said the 400 meters runner, the lady Imabong, I think the lady from
the individual. She only did the 4x4 mixed as well as the she'll be doing the 4x4 for women.
So tell us the atmosphere on those other races that started from the one that we participated in.
Well, I mean, this was a mixture of mixed feelings, really. And to be fair, we also have to look at things with regards to perspective, right? And looking at where most of these athletes are in terms of the world rankings, we knew that our only medal hopes were still Ese Brume as well as Toby Onyewu, considering they were in the top 10. Toby was ranked number 1 in our events, while Ese Brume was ranked number 5 or 6. And she's a championship athlete. She narrowly missed out on the bronze medal by a hair's breadth. She left it too late when she was in the bronze medal zone up until the last jump, in which the other athletes peeped out to it. Chukwuebuka Enekwechi had a terrible tournament and he just did not want to talk. In fact, he's flown back to the United States. That's how livid he was. And it wasn't his fault entirely. He told me that it was the weather, the equipment was tripping, and it was just all messy. And you just needed to be right mentally to be able to execute. So rain fell on day 1. And they just had to have the shot put preliminary rounds, and eventually just didn't work out for Enekwechi. For the discus women, for the first time we had 3 Africans, 3 Nigerians. It never happened in the history of the World Championships. Chioma Onyewu led that charge. She's the African and Commonwealth Games champion. That is Obiageri. There's also Ashley Anumba, who's also making a debut at this championship. All threw decently well. I mean, we're not expecting much from them, maybe except Chioma. But I mean, it was an experience for them. Just competing against the likes of Valerie Alman, the likes of Sandra Pekovic. These guys are multiple world champions, Olympic champions, Diamond League champions. So we would need to do more to get to the level of these ladies. That's just the reality, really. I remember talking about the potential for the trolls, and you could just see that we're just a tad back. So, for example, Shade Olatoye competed in the women's armor yesterday. At season's best, she had done a personal best of over just slightly above 70 meters this year. And the winning throw from a Canadian yesterday was 77 meters. But I mean, Shade didn't even qualify for the final. I mean, throwing about 65 meters. So you see the disparity in how far we need to go, especially in the field event. I mean, for Chukwuebuka Enekwechi, on his good day, he can throw 22 meters, which should be more than enough to get him in the top 5 in the world. And if he's lucky enough, he can probably get a bronze medal. So that's why he was living with himself. I spoke to Coach Gabriel Opuna, who's the throws coach, and he says, well, show me videos of Chukwuebuka throwing 22 meters in training before coming to Budapest. And it was a situation where he needed to execute his wall, but it just did not click for him because of the weather and because of rainfall in the morning. So it goes beyond how good you are. As a top athlete, you also know you need to know how to handle the pressure on a big occasion like this. And it's very key. So mentally, you need to have your head right. And that is what's one of the things that affected Toby. So she's glad. I spoke to her yesterday. She feels she's let Nigerian down. But I mean, she told them that Nigeria should keep on supporting her. She's proud. I'm ultimately proud of what she has done. She deserves what she's where she is now based on the preparation. So it's a situation where going into next season, would have more medal prospects. So, I mean, I wasn't really expecting much, even from Toby, because I just got inside information of what was going through with her. not in details, but and I understand why it was going to be difficult. But just showing up on the line shows how much grace and confidence she has come through with. And it's important for Nigerians to understand that. I know we can be very scathing of our own, but this is the lady that did Nigeria proud and put us on the map, and we should be very appreciative of her. The fact that she was able to line up against some of these best sprinters or sprint orderers, despite what she's going through, and still able to do that on the line, I think it's very commendable. So I'm not so disappointed with Nigeria's performance really, but I mean we need to do more, especially getting to the top of most of these events. We need to do more, and we can do more.
Okay, two questions before I let you go to catch up the train to the venue right now. And I'm sure that now, let's look at it. The Jamaicans, there's a medal to every Jamaican, even beyond the Americans. I'm like, this is not France, this is not Belgium, this is not England. This is Jamaica, a Caribbean country. I mean, they need to be studied. What can you say about the Jamaicans?
Yeah, they call them the sprint factory of the world. So I mean, you could see it here. They've invested a lot in sprint, and it's yielding dividends. Some medals they were surprised they won, but I mean, in just looking around what they've done and the potential they have with their high school champs, with some of their athletes going pro in the United States, I'm not surprised that they're already having or producing new generation of athletes. We've not even seen some of them, the ones that did well at the World Juniors last year and 2 years ago in Nairobi and Cali. The likes of Tina and Tia Clayton, Kivona Davis, Akira Nogent. 2 years ago, she won the World Juniors hurdles in Nairobi. She was in the final with Toby. Same thing with the Deji Kambuji of Switzerland, right? And you could see the progression there. But Nigeria are also in that situation. That's why I'm saying we should not be worried. If Favour Ashe, if Udoji Onwuzurike, if Godson Brume, three of them were also at the World Juniors, that Tebogo, for example, or Tina Clayton was 2 years ago. I mean, they would also be here. But I mean, Favour for started, and Udodi as well as Godson couldn't make it due to injury. So we need to also put things into perspective. Now we are training out sprinters, even though we're not developing them, but we are discovering them, and we're developing them in the United States. Now, what Jamaica has done is to invest a lot in terms of their high school athletics, which they call the champs, which has been going on for over a century now. It's something we can also inculcate to increase the number of production we have. And I mean, as we've done in the last, say, 2 decades now, and probably in the 80s and 90s, ship them off to the United States to college to train them. But it also has a repercussion, right? So someone like Favour Ofili, for example, was probably in the top 10 of the women's 200 meters last year, but she's been struggling with injury this year. Same thing with with Rosemary Chukuma, right? So I think for Jamaica on their part, they focus on the sprint, and they've been able to churn out very good sprinters. And even in the jump, we could see them win silver and bronze in the jump. Tanji Gay, the former world champion from 2019, coming back from injury, winning a bronze medal for himself. So you could see that they've intentionally giving this a go. I mean, so the question now remains, who's taking over from Ese Brume? You could probably say Ruth Osoro, who's been coming on the cusp. She couldn't make the final this year. So, I mean, most likely she'll make the final next year. But who is going to take over from Ruth Osoro after that? Are we discovering them? Even if we cannot develop them with the sort of resources we have, but at least let them get scholarship to United States the way the others have gotten to. So we've decided that is the route we want to take. Discover them through competitions, ship them to the United States to go to college and be with some of the schools there, and hopefully they do well for Nigeria. Toby went through that route from UTEP in 2015, and she turned pro in 2017, and she's doing well for us now. So I mean, we've said that that's the route we will take. Jamaica are taking different routes, and I mean, hopefully it works for us.
Lastly, before I let you go, one of the two questions. Camacho Queen seems to be so worried when I saw that clips of her trying to see if if that was the last question for you before I let you go, Deji. I saw Camacho Queen looking at the screen, and there was so much concentration on her, the cameras, unlike others. What do you think is happening to Camacho Queen, hoping that she would do this time around, haven't done so well?
Well, I mean, I spoke to Camacho yesterday, and the women's hurdles is very dicey, right? And it's a situation where who can hold his or nerves, or at this point, I mean, this point now, a nerve when it's very crucial. And we could see that in yesterday's race. Yes, last year in Eugene, Toby was undoubtedly the number one. She held the nerve well and she grew into the championship. Kamacho Queen, since the Olympics, has struggled to do that. Outside championships, you could bet and say she can take on any of these girls, even including Toby. But it's a situation where she knows that she's just missed out by very little. And yesterday she missed out by S breath. And but I mean that doesn't matter. It's what separates gold from silver from bronze, right? So I felt sorry for her, really. But I mean it's what it is. It's sports. She just have to find a way of bringing her edge to a very top level or top shape in crucial championships like this.
Thank you very much, Deji. I'm sure the train is already waiting for you or to tell. But we'll be calling you after the event, perhaps when you're in Nigeria, to tell us the overview about the 2023 World Athletic Championship. Thank you very much, Deji Ogenyigbo. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, a very loyal sports writer, has done so much for athletics in the country. He's definitely leaving to catch his train to the venue. Like he said earlier, that there's a 45 minutes drive between where he is right now, his hotel room, to the venue of the event, where the stakeholders in the world of athletics are gathered to ensure that the 2023 World Athletic Championship is going on as expected. Yes, and we also mentioned that the team Nigeria is yet, like we all know, is yet to have any medal at all. The two hopeful, Isebume, Toby Onyewu, couldn't do so much. Toby Onyewu couldn't defend the title she won last year, but she's still the world record holder with the time she recreated last year. But Isebume also was a silver medalist last year, but it took just a minute, less than a minute, I need to say that, of the jump that took Isebume out of the medal contention, so she came fourth. Before the last jumper, Isebume was in the bronze contention, but the last jumper actually did something unexpectedly, and that took Toby Isebume out of the contention. So we still be talking so much about athletics, but for a lot of viewers trying to see what the race was and the interview after the race with Toby. So we'll take you to the yesterday's 100 meters hurdles in the finals of the 2023 World Athletic Champion, where we have 3 former champions, 2 Olympic champion, and not forgetting Toby, as at yesterday, was the defending champion. But it took Williams, who was the champion in Beijing in 2025, after many years, 8 years after she did that, and that caused an upset. Enjoy this. When we come back, we still have many more to talk about the 2023 World Athletic Championship.